Aloha. This is lesson 284 from A Course in Miracles with Hope Johnson. I can elect to change all thoughts that hurt. Loss is not loss when properly perceived. Pain is impossible. There's no grief with any cause at all. And suffering of any kind is nothing but a dream. This is the truth, at first to be but said, and then repeated many times, and next to be accepted as but partly true, with many reservations, then to be considered seriously more and more, and finally accepted as the truth. I can elect to change all thoughts that hurt, and I would go beyond these words today and past all reservations and arrive at full acceptance of the truth in them. Father, what you have given cannot hurt, so grief and pain must be impossible. Let me not fail to trust in you today, accepting but the joyous as your gifts, accepting but the joyous as the truth. That concludes the text. I can elect to change all thoughts that hurt. This lesson is a compassionate roadmap for resolving all suffering at its root through the power of our choice. All pain comes from thought, not circumstance. This line, loss is not loss when properly perceived. Pain is impossible. What seems to be causing suffering is just an echo of an internal interpretation, an interpretation we're making. It's not really what happens. It's only what we think it means. See that? The power to suffer is the same as the power to interpret. And that means we can reinterpret it. We suffer through our own power. We're deciding to interpret something in a way that brings on suffering. That's why I love it when I get the sense that I'm suffering. Just the other day, I got a sense of grief. I'm like, oh, I'm seeing something here. I'm seeing what I can be relieved of. And each time that occurs, it goes deeper and deeper. I'm just undoing basically the underpinnings of this world by seeing which thoughts are causing the grief. And when they're seen, they're no longer given power. They have no power of their own, but we've made them powerful by keeping them hidden, by believing that the grief is caused by circumstance, by something in the world. And this lesson is great because it shows that the path to our acceptance is gradual, but it's also inevitable. Look, it says, at first to be but said. And then it goes on and then finally accepted as the truth. So it's showing us the path we take before we finally accept this as the truth. That I can elect to change all thoughts that hurt. So we're not vulnerable at all. But there seems to be a process that we go through before we finally accept it. So you may not fully believe it yet. This is basically what it's saying is you may not fully believe this yet, and that's okay. First comes the repetition. It's your deciding to do this lesson, for one thing. Then questioning it, then testing it, and then you're finally knowing it. Isn't that awesome? It's so sweet how Jesus, through A Course in Miracles, honors your process too. He's not rushing you. He's just letting you know this is inevitable. You're on your way. Rest in that awareness, and the current takes you faster. More ease equals more expedient in this case. In the case of all awakening, more ease, more expedient, more efficient. Grief actually has no true cause. It says there's no grief with any cause at all. This isn't about denying your feelings. It's never about denying your feelings. It means that what feels like grief is really the result of mistaken identity. So what you thought you lost was never really lost. And you get to see that. Not by pushing your feelings away, by recognizing, okay, this feels like grief. What is beneath it? What's the thought beneath it that can be reinterpreted? This can't be forced. It's got to be gentle. It says suffering is nothing but a dream. Suffering is the dream. Joy is the reality. This is again, not in the sense of minimizing pain, but seeing that is its origin, the cause of pain is unreal. The dream isn't a sinful thing. It's just mistaken. It's the result of a mistake. It's the effect of a mistake. The dream of death. Basically, the world, the perceived world, is a dream of death. It's not sinful. It's a result of a mistake. You know, waking up may at times feel like punishment. I know the other day when grief came on for me, it was like, whoa. And, the feeling is kind of like, the feeling itself feels like punishment, but really it's release. And when you're willing to look at it as release, you get to experience the release. So it feels like one thing, but it's really signaling something else. It's really signaling the path to joy. It's like the catalyst toward greater joy. And that's how you'll experience it if you're willing to see it that way. That's how it certainly is for me. It says, I can elect to change all thoughts that hurt. You're making a choice there. This is pointing to your authorship, radical authorship. You're not a victim of your thoughts. You're the chooser of them. To elect means you're consciously replacing fear with remembrance. You've got to be willing to look. What is causing the upset feeling? It's basically all fear. We were using grief earlier. Still fear. So this isn't suppressing pain, denying your feelings. It's denying reality to the thoughts. It's replacing the lens through which you're perceiving. So it's a new interpretation. So full acceptance is the goal. That's why it says I would go beyond these words today. The words are like pointers, but the truth is beyond them. You're invited here to embodied realization, not just believing these words. Embodied realization, having a visceral experience of it. That actually comes through a fearful feeling, which is any upset feeling. Anything from concern to murderous rage, let's say. Embodied realization, that's going through that feeling, recognizing that feeling is like a doorway or a catalyst. And you can use that feeling as the means for seeing what thought is the cause. Once you see what's actually causing it, you can't prop that thought up anymore, not in the way you once did. There may be still some echoes going forward, but it's on its way out, basically on its way to being forgiven. Every time you choose joy instead of grievance, instead of a fearful feeling, a fearful thought, you move closer, closer and closer and closer. Remember, the feeling is caused by thought. It's not caused by circumstance. It's your thought, not anyone else's. You're the author. Pretending like circumstances cause your feelings, man, that's like letting yourself just be blown around in the wind. How difficult that is. No wonder people are on edge, going around believing that they have to protect themselves from everyone else's thoughts and everyone else's energy. That's a hard way to go. You don't have to do that. It says, let me not fail to trust in you today. That's because joy is given by God. God only gives joy. That's what we're trusting. That's why we're trusting in God. If it doesn't feel like peace, it didn't come from God. God doesn't disguise his gifts in pain. One question you can ask yourself is, am I willing to stop confusing suffering with learning? God's not asking you to suffer. You know, that pain that comes up, that emotional pain, let's say, grief, let's use grief. That's not given by God. You're not learning anything by wallowing in it. What you want to do is recognize how you are making it right now. What thought are you holding that you're making it? That's not a thought of God. That's a thought that comes from the ego. Your learning comes from your willingness to see that. Now, here's something you can use in practice. If something hurts, recognize this thought hurts, but I can choose another. I'm not bound by the thought that wounded me. I don't have to keep this thought. I don't have to hold on to it. I know when I got the sense earlier this week that something was terrible, there was a feeling of grief. You know, the sense was all pleasure leads to pain. Ah, ah. And, you know, that's true. In the world, all pleasure leads to pain. But the underlying belief was that this is wrong or bad or terrible. And it's like when you see that, oh, that's just the underpinnings of the world. That doesn't mean anything. I don't need pleasure in the world. That's the thing. That's the thing that I saw so clearly. I don't need any pleasure in the world. What God gives is joyous and has no opposite, doesn't lead to pain. So it was a release from seeking. See, it seems sad to the ego because the ego believes that pleasure is joy. So to the ego, it's just so bleak because the only joy to the ego is pleasure in the world, sex, food, experiences, whatever. The ego's happiness. So when you see that that thought is a misbelief. It's a miscreation, and you don't need it. It's like, oh, thank goodness I can see that. I don't need that. And there's a great freedom in seeing past the underpinnings that make this world. So today, this is about giving ourselves permission to question every thought that hurts. When any hurt arises, ask, what am I believing right now that's causing this? Then say to the Holy Spirit, reinterpret this for me. I was asking the Holy Spirit to reinterpret it for me when the pleasurable side of the thought arose, because I knew that the opposite would be coming. So I was already asking before the sense of grief arose. Holy Spirit, look at this with me. And then it was just a few minutes later where the opposite arose. And so I wasn't tricked by it. I saw it right away. I let it bring a tear to my eye. And it showed how bleak the ego's idea was. All pleasure leads to pain. Okay, that's true enough. But seeing that is a blessing, because the joy of God, it never leads to pain. And that's truly what we want and what we're worthy of. We don't want the ego's pleasures. So in the evening, you can ask, well, did I carry any thoughts today that hurt me? And would I offer them now in the fire of truth? And choose again. Look, pain is not your teacher. You don't have to have fear as your guide. There's nothing noble about suffering. It's entirely unnecessary. You can learn through joy. You can evolve through peace. You can elect to change every thought that hurts. And remember your divinity. So twice a day and every hour and any time any kind of fearful thought or feeling arises, I can elect to change all thoughts that hurt. And have a beautiful remembrance. I love you.